Hello people, I'm Bharat Acharya. Welcome to a new video. So, in today's video we're going to learn pipelining, instruction pipelining. Pipelining is simply the biggest reason, single-handedly the biggest reason why processors have become so fast. I'm sure you've also noticed yourself. It's not just textbook information, it's hands-on. You've seen it yourself from the first computer that you used when you were a child to the computers that you use today, to the iPads, to the mobile phones that you use. They've become ridiculously fast. Now, what makes processors faster? There are various reasons, of course. Somebody is taking your interview, soon you'll be sitting for job interviews, somebody asks you this question. There are various reasons. Data bus. Increase the size of the data bus, you can get more data at a time. That makes a processor faster. Yes. But that has peaked out 25 years back. Pentium was released 1993 with a 64-bit data bus. That's what we use today. So that has peaked out 25 years back before you were born. So if data bus was the only reason, then from the time you were born till now, computers should have worked at one speed. So it's not data bus anymore. That concept is over, because after 64, the next option would have been 128-bit data bus. That would have just added so many lines, the motherboard would become impossible to construct. Today, we want fast computers, at the same time, the most compact computers. So keeping that in mind, they made the standard, let's have 64-bit data buses forever. So, or at least for a good time to come. Now, there is another reason, increasing clock frequency. Higher the clock frequency, faster the processor. What does clock do? Every clock pulse, look at what I'm doing, gives a trigger. Each clock pulse is a trigger to the processor to change its state, to do something new, then again something new, then again something new. So if you increase the clock frequency, you're just making the processor work faster. Initial processors were launched at 3 MHz, 8085. Then came 6 MHz, 8086, 16 MHz, 386, 66 up to 100 MHz, Pentium, Pentium 2, 150 MHz, Pentium 3, 450 MHz. Yeah, I teach all of them. Pentium 4 released at 1.4 GHz in the year 2000. So from 1970s to the year 2000, 3 MHz became 1.4 GHz. 2004, they released processors of 2.8, 3.2 GHz. 2004. We are at 2018 right now when the video is shot. God knows when you're going to watch it. Last 14 years, the frequency is practically the same. Even today, we work at 3.2 GHz. So if clock frequency was the only reason, it would have peaked out 14 years back. But in spite of that, processors are still becoming faster. Forget 14 years, 14 months back the processor that was released, and the A10, Apple A10 chip, Apple A11 Bionic chip completely blows over the charts so fast. So it's not only these basic reasons, increasing the size of the data bus or increasing the clock frequency. There are other factors. The biggest contributor to making a processor faster is what we're going to learn right now, pipelining. I will show you with graphs, with various examples, without touching the data bus, without increasing the clock frequency, just using smarter ideas, you can make a processor work very fast. Okay? Now, we will start with a two-stage pipeline because that's how it started in the world. The first processor to implement it, 8086. So we're going to take that example. Then I'll tell you what is a three-stage pipeline. I'll show you the graph of a four-stage pipeline. We'll come up with a general formula to make the speed higher. We'll discuss advantage and drawbacks, also called hazards. This is super important. In Bombay University, you get just this. Explain pipeline hazards as a 5-mark question. It's a very repeated question because you ought to know this. If you understand pipelining, you need to also understand what are the things that can slow it down, what are the things that can affect pipelining in a bad way. So that's what you're learning. Anyway, so when this comes as a 5-mark question, just writing the 3 hazards will give you only 1 mark. You need to explain them, so you need to understand them properly. Anyway, so that's the scope of this video. Now, this was an introduction. You want to watch the whole video, come to my website. My website is called www.bharatacharyaeducation.com. It's the same name as the name of this channel, just put a .com. Halfway through, Google will help you. We also have an app. It's an Android app with the same name, Bharat Acharya Education. You'll get all my videos of all processors that I've made so far. There are about 150 videos so far, spread across different channels. This video will be in the COA channel, Computer Organization Architecture. Select the channel. There is a payment. Of course, this is a paid service, but at the same time, I've kept it ridiculously low. Everybody can afford it. So make the payment, subscribe. Instantly, you can start watching the videos. Some people have been calling me for keeping a crash course because exams are coming up in like a month. I'm done with that idea. I've been doing that for 18 years. More than a crash course. A crash course is, you can never do justice in a crash course. You have to rush through the subject. What's the point? The time that you're going to spend coming, going and being ready for the lecture. Instead of that, take the subscription. You have full videos, no cut short, no shortcuts. full videos of all topics in your hand, in your phone. Watch them. All you'll need is probably a day or 2 days at the most to finish watching all of them, and you're set for the exam. The other feature that we have added both on our website and the app is, along with the video, there's a small button called View PDF. When you hit that button, you not only get the video which you have, you also get the PDF of my book. I've made my book available to you for free. It is chapter wise. So depending upon the video that you're watching, so if you're watching this video, you'll get the PDF part of my book covering this topic. So you're not only getting the understanding from the video, you're also getting the answer to be written, because it's very important to know what is to be written in the exam. Examiners can't read your mind. You may have understood the topic better than the examiner, but if you don't know what to write in the exam, some people get too verbose, write too much, some people write it too short. Either way, it doesn't work. You have to have proper answers, and in engineering it's not easy to get good answers because there are so many prescribed textbooks and they're all huge. Then you come back to local authors. I've never suggested that, because half of the information is incomplete. Yeah, they're all good books. I'm not saying anything against a book. Just saying that it's not the best way of doing it, at least from my point of view. As a teacher, I would never promote that since all the years that I've been teaching. Anyway, the prescribed textbooks give you best knowledge, but yeah, they're too much to read. So I have done all of that reading, and whatever is the juice of all those topics, they are there in my book, which I anyways sell offline either way. But instead of that, I've kept it freely available to you. All you need to do is make the subscription for the videos. You get chapter wise notes of all topics for free. Watch the video, see the notes, prepare the answer, you're set. It's your one-stop shop. You don't need to look at anything else. Okay, so whenever you can, make the subscription. If you're still thinking about it, go ahead, take your time. We are starting learning this right now.